It's that time of year, the week of Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Now, even in the halls of Congress, there's been rare bipartisan agreement. First, Zohran Mamdani was put in his place. Now, just before he arrived in Washington for a meeting with President Trump last Friday, the House of Representatives, in a rare bipartisan vote, passed a resolution condemning the horrors of socialism. Yes, just in time to slap Mamdani across the face. Welcome to Washington. The resolution passed 285 to 98 and discusses the history of socialist governments, the famine and repression engendered by a failed governmental system incompatible with the U.S. Constitution. So, with such a warm welcome from Congress for Mamdani, I had touched on the possibility of something like this in a video I posted earlier about Mamdani needing to learn some hard lessons. Now, he was born in Uganda to a South Asian family that had immigrated to Uganda and was given privileged treatment by the British. So his family had moved ahead socially in Uganda, but they were kicked out when the dictator Idi Amin rose to power. Amin expelled all South Asians, including the Mamdani family, because they were gentrifiers. The policies of the British had shut out native Ugandans from the economic prosperity of their own country. So the Mamdanis were kicked out. And I had indicated in my earlier video that history was poised to repeat itself here, because Mamdani had violated the terms of his U.S. naturalization by advocating for the doctrines of world communism during his time in the U.S., which naturalized citizens aren't permitted to do. So he can be denaturalized and deported. That's the law, which I discussed in detail in a different video. Now, Mamdani had even gone so far as to assert he would seize the means of production and seize property from landlords, which the U.S. Constitution and every state constitution prohibits. I'll post a link to my video about that as well. So we shouldn't be surprised at the outcome of Mamdani's meeting at the White House. Mamdani apparently was on his best behavior. That was his best option, and he took it. Now, he and President Trump had a great meeting. They held a press conference afterwards, very cordial. Now, the president was very kind and encouraging and said he hoped Mamdani would do a great job. Now, Mamdani's base in New York City is upset about the meeting. They're already demanding answers. They're furious because they want a bunch of free stuff. Now, okay, all the free stuff that he promised that he actually cannot deliver legally. And that's aside from all of the ICE resistance that he obviously cannot deliver either, because he'll lose federal funding for all of the public housing he said he was going to build. Now, currently, New York state law doesn't permit a recall election. Now, there is a bill in the New York State Senate that would allow for recall elections, but as of now, it's just a bill, and Mamdani cannot be recalled for now. Now, some folks in the media were surprised at how cordial the meeting was, but no one should have been surprised. We even heard President Trump say it. Mamdani seemed like a rational person. Also, bipartisan agreement on releasing the Jeffrey Epstein files. Now, the Congress voted overwhelmingly for legislation requiring the DOJ to release all of the files, with redactions only to protect personally identifiable information of victims, such as their addresses, and redactions for information that's part of an active federal investigation. And the release is now required by an act of Congress. So that gives the DOJ a lot of power to put pressure on the judge overseeing the grand jury that indicted Epstein to release the grand jury portion of the files. It's possible the judge could say no. I mean, I guess that could happen, but the DOJ could appeal all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court if necessary. And I can't see the U.S. Supreme Court going against a valid act of Congress. So the files will be released. And finally, let me just discuss Starbucks. Now, some of the workers are on strike. Starbucks says operations are not affected, with just 1% of locations on strike. And that sounds about right to me. The Starbucks brand is what marketers call affordable luxury, okay, not affordable essentials. Now, many consumers will stay home and make their own coffee, in other words. I don't see a whole lot of leverage for workers when apparently 99% of workers find their work conditions to be acceptable. Now, it would be different if all of them went on strike. That would really hurt the company from a cost standpoint, because the luxury has to be affordable for consumers. But if it isn't affordable for the company, that type of strike with 99% participation would destroy the company, okay? Then all of the workers would be out of a job as well. So mutually assured destruction. Now, it's different with a company like UPS, for example. Their most recent union negotiation was very successful. The workers didn't have to go on strike. I observed that package delivery isn't a luxury service. It's a necessity. Now, especially with the rise of online shopping. Now, both the company and the workers understood those economics, so it worked out well. Although the company did lay off some workers after the new contract was negotiated. So back to Starbucks. I'll keep an eye on this case. With just 1% participation, I don't anticipate they'll make any gains on the union side. Now, on the outside chance that they do, some locations might have to close, similar to what happened with the layoffs at UPS after the new contract was negotiated. The costs do have to come from somewhere. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the Thanksgiving holiday. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.